What's up, everybody? If you are in this Facebook group, you probably know one of us or both of us, but in the chance that you don't know both of us, I am Hannah Morris. This is my very attractive husband,
Jackson Morris.
And we are going on almost 5 years of marriage, and we'll celebrate that July 22nd. But we just wanted to let you guys know this is where our story has been. This is how we got to the point that we are. This is what led us to the agency that we have. This is where our hearts have been in the whole trying to have children and it not coming process. And know that there are so many of you in this group message or Facebook group who know what that feels like and who tried and it just looked very different than you thought it was. And then there's the extreme opposite. And so just wanted to kind of give our story. But even before Jackson and I got married, just really believed that God had really been preparing us for adoption at some point in our lives. Adoption has always been something around both of our families. My best friend of 25 years growing up is adopted, had so many adoptive stories all around us. Even when we moved back to Arlington, we're at a church and I'm on staff with so many families who've adopted. We have this whole adoptive ministry to come alongside us. So there's so many steps in the process that God really had just been preparing for us, and something even before we got married just had always dreamed of and talked about of, hey, we'd love for this to be a part of our story, and truly think there's something super incredible about the fact that God chose us as his adopted sons and daughters, and the way to display that through our own family. And so had always hoped and dreamed that that would be a part, but in all honesty, thought that would be down the road, thought that would be either in the midst of some biological children or after biological children. We never went in to the adoption train thinking newborn and that stage of life. We had talked about possibly toddlers down the road and just thought, oh, this is how our plan will work. We'll be married a couple of years, we'll get out of debt, and then we'll start trying, and then we'll be pregnant right away. And here we are going on 3 years of trying and obviously no children. And so around probably the 6-month mark of us trying, we started doing tests, and I did kind of very basic level checkups and blood work and things like that. And where we kind of landed right now we are in this very, very small percentage that is not pregnant for no reason. Every test that we have done has come back great. Both of our bodies look great and are functioning like they're supposed to, and so there could be a lot of different reasons outside of just simply God's timing. But I had a very bad nerve damage injury when I was in college, and so they said, some of that could be severe nerve damage that may never heal. That is a possibility. There's also, unfortunately, infertility runs in my family. It also runs the extreme opposite way. So. And we both believe, man, God is outside of that and is bigger than that, but that's also a reality. And it simply could be God just doesn't have that for us biologically yet, and really just wants adoption for us sooner than we thought. And so I can let Jackson just kind of explain where our hearts are in how we've felt in trying and that not happening, and even God's protection in the midst of all of that. And to give some background of, hey, this is how we felt, and give some truth to maybe some assumptions that really haven't been true for us, and are grateful for that.
Yeah, so we, like Hannah said, we've been trying for a while now. We hit the ground running. We were going to celebrate our Hannah's sister, my sister-in-law Rachel's birthday by, in February.
Yeah, we started trying end of December.
We're going to surprise her.
Of 2019.
Tell her she's an aunt. It's going to be great. And we're just going to crank out these kids. It did not happen.
Sorry, Rach.
Sorry. Anyways, there's just been a lot of things where it's been difficult to be frustrated, and even having an incident where we thought maybe we were pregnant. A lot of conversations, a lot of physical signs, I guess, in Hannah, and people who mean very well coming up and saying, I just know that you're pregnant or you're gonna have a baby, and
or random people having dreams random people at baseball games saying that we had children on the way that we had never met before.
Yeah.
Just a lot of
Yeah.
really weird
Coinciding
things.
with the timeline where we thought we might be pregnant. So that was a little tough. In the midst of all that, there were some things where we could see God working, where Hannah had a really bad car accident. And if we got pregnant when we wanted to be pregnant, she would have been about 8 months and taking an airbag to the chest. I mean, it was bad enough that we went to the doctor after, got x-rays, scans, and who knows what would have happened if we had a baby at that time. So
Yeah.
things like that where we can see God's protection. We were thankful that we weren't pregnant. In the midst of all that, we had planned to try for about 2 years before we did any adoption process, things like that. And Hannah started just feeling as if God was telling her we should start the adoption process sooner. And that was in her quiet times, in her prayer, and her reading all this. And I hadn't heard anything. So I said, so if God is talking to her, he didn't trust me to listen. So said, all right, let's start it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had just both originally had talked about, okay, yeah, if we're not pregnant by the end of 2022, we'll start the adoption train and see what God would do from there. And yeah, around October, man, I could not shake it. Was all up in, my times with the Lord and just in conversations I was having, and I just could not get my brain off of it. And so, I went to Jackson, was like, hey, what would it look like to start this a year early? Because knowing adoption takes a while, and there's really no time frame, hard time frame. So we started applying for agencies in November and got denied to every agency that we applied for, and was like, okay, God, I know you told me to start this thing, so what's going on? And in God's kindness, like 3 weeks later after we had started applying, we had Adoption Sunday at our church. And so adoption is really big at our church. We have this whole ministry dedicated to adoptive and fostering families, and had a lot of different agencies there. And one that was recommended to us specifically was Lifeline Children's Services, which is what we are currently with, and also denied us in our first application. And so I see their table, and we're not having any luck. And so go up to them and say, hey, can you explain why we might be getting denied? And they were just like, why would you be denied? We don't deny people. We only deny them if they don't meet the basic requirements, which were married for 3 years, owned a home, something else. But we meet all those things. And so come to find out, their system had been glitching and did it to several other families who had recently applied. And so luckily we're able to find that out. And then some of the other agencies that we got denied by, one of them we're assuming was they tend to accept families quicker who have said they are infertile, are actually medically
Diagnosed.
Diagnosed, thank you. Couldn't think of the word.
Yeah.
Diagnose that, and that has not been our story yet. And are grateful, and that could be our story, we just don't know, and are continuing to try biologically as well, but as of right now, that's just not been in the cards for us. And so I have a feeling since we didn't say, yes, we are infertile, just because we don't know, may have gotten denied by them. And then the other one, you had to be open to 0 to 8 years old. And we just aren't there. We didn't go in thinking specific age. That's something that we both really prayed about, and Jackson just kind of had landed on, I just sense that the Lord's giving me peace, at least for newborn. And I didn't have a peace, God told me to start it, and then God told Jackson which way we were supposed to go, so it worked out really well. And so we are in a open infant adoption process with Lifeline Children's Services. And what that means is we really hope to have a relationship with the birth parents. Usually it's just the birth mom, but we really genuinely hope to have a relationship with them. I think there's a really cool discipleship aspect to that, and even just to have access, hopefully, to family history, or if they do something cool that just is reflective of them, and just to build that relationship. And especially if God gives us children who are not white, for them to have actual biological familial resources, and people to ask questions on and gain wisdom from, and just have community around. And obviously we know sometimes that doesn't happen. Like, these are things we hope and things that we ask, but it could look very different for us, but that's our hope, that we would have a relationship with the parents. And so just to also encourage you guys, like, God has protected our hearts a lot in the trying process, and that not working, I guess, is the term anybody would say. But yeah, like Jackson said, man, like car accidents and transitions and buying a home and taking over this new ministry and just things that we've experienced in the last couple of years, like I've just been so grateful of, okay, that is why maybe not yet. And would we have started the adoption train if we would have, or vice versa? And so are super grateful to just be where we are. Like we like to say 90% of the time our hearts really feel okay, where we don't wake up in agony that I'm not pregnant, or that we're not pregnant, or that children aren't here yet. And 10% of the time is really, really hard, when you have people who weren't trying and now are pregnant, or now have children, or just said they were going to start trying, and boom, here they are 9 months later. And sometimes those are hard, but truly 90% of the time are at peace with it and are excited. This is big for us. Hear us when we say, like, we are genuinely pumped for people to have children, and for people to experience that, and to be parents, and to come alongside our friends who are parents and who are about to have children. Like, we have so many friends who are about to have more babies come into the world in 2022, and truly are thrilled, because there is something beautiful to that, and know that God has that for us at some point. Just don't know in what avenues that looks like. So we just wanted to let you guys know where we were at, what led us to where we are today, just to provide some clarity to maybe some questions you all have had along the way. And feel free to ask us as we keep moving along, but are truly excited and are grateful to see what God has in store for us, and truly do know that He's going to bring us children in some way. But seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for your support. I'm gonna let Jackson wrap it up, but wanted to say that from me to you, of truly am so grateful for how you guys have loved on us thus far.
Moving forward, we still have some homework that I need to do. Hannah has done. It's very intensive. We have a couple of
love you, Lifeline, but this part has been the worst so far.
It's been
just
pretty,
the longest.
pretty brutal. It's been a while since I've had homework, but
yes,
we have a couple of home studies. We'll have people back in our homes, and we'll do some interviews there, and then we'll just keep moving forward. And so with that comes a financial piece, which it's never fun to ask for money or anything like that, but the reality is that when you go through agencies as opposed to the state, there's a lot of fees involved, whether that's paying for social workers or for the studies and things like that, legal fees. But also, one of the reasons we chose Lifeline is that they spend a lot of the resources caring for the birth moms. It's almost as if they are the primary ministry. Not as almost, they are. Mm-hmm. And we're there just part of the process. So Hannah and her editing skills will pop up some of the fees and process that we still have yet to encounter. Lifeline breaks down into chunks, so we've already paid a couple. And moving forward, as we reach certain stages, we'll have more installments of these fees. And so we wanted to open that invitation to you to see if you would like to financially come alongside us. We believe God will take care of us regardless. He has so far. We've made some mistakes financially. We've done all sorts of boneheaded stuff. God has taken care of us. We don't think He's going to leave us out now. But if you wanted to come alongside us, Hannah's going to help create a link. You can go and share financially there. But I'd also want to say, as much as we're grateful for any financial support We primarily just want to thank you and encourage you to continue to pray for us, encourage us, even just checking in on us. We've told this story so many times that you're like, man, it's like the 30th time. This video's taken more than one take, so you know how that goes. But for in all seriousness, we thank you guys for your support, whatever that may look like, and we look forward to keeping you updated along the way. I love you.
Love you guys.